Miami's freshmen are built different. There are 3 first-year players who will be decisive in the Hurricanes making a deep playoff run.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday. We made it. I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. And thank you to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're part of the now #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. On this loaded episode, did the Texas Longhorns create a blueprint that Miami can follow against Texas A&M? It looks like Miami dodged a bullet and will not be losing their offensive coordinator to a head coaching job somewhere else for next season. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about key players. And, man, we still have to wait another 8 days. I kind of wish it was this Saturday, Miami against Texas A&M. Maybe it's good that it isn't because it gives Keionte Scott possibly more time to get healthy for next week. But when I'm going through key players for this matchup, something really stood out to me, and it's the balance of Miami's roster when it comes to veteran leadership and certain juniors and seniors, especially seniors, who are obviously cornerstones of this roster and guys who have to step up and play great next Saturday. But on the other end of that, there's at least 3 18-year-old true freshmen who hold the keys to victory next Saturday. And first of all, that's a testament to the balance of this roster, because obviously you always want to have upperclassmen to rely on, but if you have true freshmen who are playing pivotal roles, that's a great sign for the future, because those freshmen are going to be sophomores next year, juniors before they're eligible to leave for the NFL. So Miami's roster balance-wise is in a great place right now. But, no pressure for, guys who were at their prom a year ago, or in the case of one of our key true freshmen, should be going to his prom later on this year because he left high school a year early. And so, we can start with that player, early enrollee, Malachi Toney. Malachi Toney he might be the key. And Texas A&M folks are taking notice, right? When I see what the people who cover the Aggies are saying about Miami, it's one of 2 names that they mentioned first. It's either Malachi Toney or Ruben Bain. But I think they understand that their defense having the right plan against Malachi Toney could decide a win or a loss for the Aggies. And these 2 teams, Miami and A&M, they've got a lot of similarities. So I think the difference here, when both teams are really, really good at the line of scrimmage, 2 really good defenses, 2 really explosive good offenses, it could come down to a couple of X plays or a couple of extra gadget plays that Miami is able to convert on. Malachi Toney, if he's able to break off an explosive outside run, if he throws a deep pass on a trick play, if he burns the secondary for a 60-yard gain, things like that could very well decide the outcome here. I think a couple of extra explosive plays in one direction, and if you're Miami, Malachi Toney is the guy who's probably involved in that. Toney this year, freshman All-American. I thought he actually should have been named the Horning Player of the Year, which goes to the most versatile guy. Ironically enough, Malachi Toney lost out that award to Casey Concepcion, who's on the A&M side. But 2 of the most versatile playmakers in the country are going to go head-to-head. And Malachi Toney this year, 1,200 all-purpose yards, over 1,200. I think it's 1,245, something like that, all-purpose yards. 10 touchdowns this season, including 7 receiving touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Toney gives you so many different options, and even if that's as a decoy, as the truth teller Bruce Warner loves to say, Malachi Toney as a decoy opens up the entire opposite half of the field. He might be the most important player on this matchup. Certainly for Miami on the offensive side of the ball, he is. But sticking with the true freshmen, a couple more who are going to be pivotal in this game. Bryce Fitzgerald, true freshman nickel corner. Now, just for the sake of argument, I'm going to assume he starts this game because we've talked on this show about the possibility of Keionte Scott being back. Missed the final 2 games with a foot injury, okay? If Keionte Scott isn't back and there are no guarantees, it might be a 50-50 thing or a 40-60 thing. I'm going to assume Bryce Fitzgerald is going to start at the nickel. Even if he doesn't start, he's going to play a lot, and he's going to have a lot of matchups against KC Concepcion, who's maybe the best overall player on Texas A&M. Fitzgerald, true freshman, has been sensational this year. He leads Miami with 4 interceptions this season. Gosh, if you could get a Bryce Fitzgerald pick in this game, that'd be worth a pot of gold. Another true freshman, Girard Pringle. I really, really think Pringle is going to be key in this matchup, and I say it because Texas A&M's defense, they're very good overall, but the Aggies have been vulnerable at times to explosive runs on the perimeter. In fact, Texas A&M has given up more runs of 20-plus yards than anyone else in the SEC this season. Their run fits have been an issue for them. So Girard Pringle, to me, you kind of put him in the same boat as Malachi Toney. You get a couple of extra explosive plays, whether it's catching a pass out of the backfield, breaking a run outside where A&M tends to be more vulnerable. Girard Pringle, now he's not going to have to do it by himself because Miami's going to have a committee of running backs. Mark Fletcher and Marty Brown are your bruisers in the interior part of your running game, and they're going to play a really important role in wearing down that A&M defensive line. But the spark you can get from Girard Pringle, I think, is especially important in this matchup. So those are the true freshmen who I believe are going to play pivotal roles here. Freshman X factors, guys who won't have as much responsibility on their plates but can make a difference in this matchup. Dante Simpson as a rotational defensive tackle, the interior part of Miami's defensive line. Obviously, the big playmakers there, Ahmad Moten and David Blay, who should be good from injury. But if a guy like Dante Simpson gets some reps, you got to make the most of those. Obviously, I don't want to leave out Justin Scott. He's not a freshman, but he's also going to be a big part of that interior rotation. But Dante Simpson is a guy I wonder how much we'll see of him. And a couple more receivers, because it's not just Malachi Toney. He's the focal point, but Josh Moore, who has been a bigger part of the offense in the second half of the season. He catches a couple of contested balls, can really help change this game. And Dalen Upshaw, who's really explosive. He could catch a screen pass or catch something on the perimeter and create some yards after catch in a big play. All right, but let's get back to the most important players, period, in this matchup as we get to the upperclassmen. Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. Obviously, those are Miami's game wreckers on the defensive line. Pressure can force Texas A&M quarterback Marcel Reed into bad game decisions, okay? Bain and Mesidor also play the run very well, especially Bain. But pressure is going to be key. We'll talk about it more with Texas A&M. When Marcel Reed gets into a funk, he's a guy who's capable of making critical mistakes to hurt his football team. You get him playing poorly by pressuring him and making him uncomfortable. And, you know, the same way A&M's defensive coordinator is going to be kept up at night thinking about how do we contain Malachi Toney. Their offensive coordinator is going to be up at night thinking about Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. We'll see what the plan is for those guys. Carson Beck could have led off with him, the starting quarterback. Miami needs Carson Beck to play the way he ended the regular season, playing his best football over the final 4 games. And also Beck, being an experienced player like he is, 6-year guy, his experience on the road going to tough SEC environments like the one you're about to go into, that is invaluable experience for Carson. And we talk about the way he ended the season. In Beck's final 4 games of the year, he threw for 1,125 yards with 11 touchdown passes, 1 interception, and a receiving touchdown. So 12 touchdowns, 1 INT to end the year. If you get that version of Carson Beck, Miami's going to have a chance to win this football game. All right, so we'll talk about Miami's assistant coaching situation. And folks out there want to know, because most of us, I think, watched that Texas versus Texas A&M game. Did the Longhorns give Miami a blueprint? You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Let's talk about something most men don't want to bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rugiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rugiet Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rugiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in one mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. Guys, the science behind Rugiet Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in one formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now is the time. Head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. Folks, we're also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting, because you're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump right into that moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and so much more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And if you're a diehard Hurricanes fan, the Everydayer All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes, an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% off discount on the Locked On merch store. Head to lockedoncanes.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes below. All right, so over the past couple of weeks, we've seen Miami offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson has been mentioned for multiple open head coaching jobs. And I feel like a terrible person when I talk about this because I think Shannon Dawson is a great guy. I think he works incredibly hard. I think he's really good at what he does. So at some point, I would like to see Shannon Dawson get the opportunity, the right opportunity, to be a head coach somewhere, because that's the natural progression. You're a successful Power 4 offensive coordinator. You can parlay that into a head coaching job, probably group of 5 head coaching job, but that's a step up. But I'm also greedy and I'm selfish and I love my Hurricanes and I want to keep Shannon Dawson because, again, I think he's doing a good job and I value continuity. So as bad as it makes me feel, every time I see Shannon Dawson not getting another job, and some of these are his choice. He's turned down other jobs. But every time I see him not getting another job, I'm like, I'm kind of happy and relieved by it. So over the past couple of weeks, we saw Shannon Dawson linked to the Tulane head coaching job, which is a Louisiana guy, so it's a natural fit there. But they ended up promoting from within. Then a couple days after Tulane, Dawson was linked to the Coastal Carolina head coaching job, which is something he, reportedly talked to them about, or his agent talked to them about it. But he will not be going to Coastal Carolina because they just hired Missouri State head coach Ryan Beard. So I guess they decided to go with someone with, head coaching experience. That's something Dawson does not have yet. Dawson, I don't even know for sure if he wanted the Coastal Carolina job. So I don't want to assume he would have taken it if offered to him. He may not have even wanted it, but I do think for the role that Miami has been on, and for the idea that, Darion Coleman, who just arrives now in January as a true freshman, Coleman to me is someone that was handpicked by Shannon Dawson. They have a great relationship. Same thing with Luke Nickel, who's already on campus. Like these were the quarterbacks he recruited, right? I would like to see him have an opportunity to work with them for another year, hopefully another couple of years, if I'm being honest here. And also, and I know, the offense, Miami's offense was it seemed a bit stale in the middle of the season, and people were critical of the play calling, but boy, did he finish with a bang. I thought Dawson, whether it just be the chemistry with his personnel and everything clicking and Carson Beck getting more comfortable with the offense, having a guy like Malachi Toney take on more responsibilities and become more dangerous as the season went on, discovering what Girard Pringle can add for you in a outside perimeter running game. But I think we all saw the same things, that the final 4 games of the season, the offense really opened up, right? And I've got to think Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator and play caller and quarterbacks coach, had a lot to do with that. So I really appreciate the job he's doing. And, assuming there's not another head coaching opportunity that comes up, it looks like we're going to keep him for another year. And again, I love Dawson. I want what's best for him, but I'm selfish and I want what's best for him to be in Miami. So it looks like we're going to keep him for another year, and I'm really happy about that. We get a question from Locked On Canes All Access member Dan Cardwell, who says, how was Texas able to beat Texas A&M, and how can we use some of that? Every game is different, but if you're going to look at, is there a blueprint to be had from Texas's victory? The Longhorns ran the ball really well, uncharacteristically well, and it kind of made a lot of people look at Texas A&M's run defense and wonder if that's going to be a problem. A strong rushing performance from Texas, I thought, was the first thing that really stood out. One of their running backs ran for 155 yards. They had 218 yards as a team. Obviously, Miami is going to try to exploit that, and Miami can hit you in different ways with their running game. Fletcher and Marty Brown, specialize, not to say they can't get to the outside, but they can really try to gash your interior and try to wear down your defensive line. And then Girard Pringle is the guy who can break things to the outside and offer that change of pace. So, Miami's going to have a commitment to the running game. Miami's going to do that regardless. They're never going to abandon the run. They're always going to try to stick with the running game early, because oftentimes, as long as you stick with your running game, even if it's not working so well in the first half, when the defense gets more tired in the second half, that's when it starts to pay off. So running game. And then the other thing for Texas was, and this is not necessarily something you can automatically duplicate, but their defense, the Longhorns defense, really took over in the second half. They only gave up 35 yards in the third quarter, and they had 2 interceptions in the game. So it goes back to what we said about making Marcel Reed uncomfortable. He is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personified, right? Because, with our luck, we'll get the best version of Marcel Reed, who's a dual threat. You're going to have to contain him, maybe put a spy on him because he can move. But he can be erratic as a passer. So if you can force him to make some off-schedule throws, uncomfortable throws, Miami, obviously, you've got Jacoby Thomas, who's got 4 interceptions this year, Bryce Fitzgerald, who's got 4 picks, Xavier Lucas, O.J. Frederic. You're going to have opportunities to intercept passes, you hope. So strong defense, takeaways, and a strong running game. That's how the Longhorns were able to have success against Texas. We get one from Bob in Louisville, who says, hey, I would really like to know more about how Miami's players feel regarding this 4-game gauntlet. I think the gauntlet he's referring to is you play Texas A&M. If you beat them, you play Ohio State. If you beat Ohio State, you probably play Georgia. And if you beat Georgia, you probably play Indiana for the national championship. Nobody would hypothetically have a tougher road to the championship game than Miami, or I guess A&M, because they're in Miami's bracket as well. So he said, what's their mindset? Do they feel ready? He says, it's like people can talk about keys to the game. The keys to me are our guys, their brotherhood and their willingness to become one and dominate, just like Joaquin said. I know that's not a question, but it's what I'd like to know. Okay, well, first of all, the mindset, Miami's players, they're not thinking about a 4-game gauntlet. I can talk about that. You can talk about that. They are only thinking about Texas A&M. They are not allowing themselves to even entertain the idea that, hey, Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, they're waiting behind door number 2. Like they're not thinking about the next game, let alone the next 3 games. They're only thinking about the one that's right in front of them. That's how they've approached the entire season. You try to go 1-0 this week. So they're not thinking about the gauntlet. They're thinking about a game. That's number 1. Number 2 would be, I think the mindset that you talk about, here's an edge that Miami has over most of the teams in the field is Miami has already been playing playoff football for the past month. That's been their mindset, right? I mean, Texas A&M, they knew going into that Texas game, if we win the game, probably get a first round bye, but if we lose the game, we're still in the playoff. Like that wasn't a win or go home for them, right? Miami has been playing win or go home since November 8th, right? Since the Syracuse game moving forward, Miami has had zero margin for error. I've said it before on this show. They were already in their own college football playoff for the past month. So that, I believe, has sharpened their mindset. Miami has already been in playoff mode. So I think that's really important. And no, they don't feel like they're playing with house money. I know some people might say, well, you barely snuck into the playoffs. You got a really tough road, win or lose. You're just happy to be there. They're not here to take part. They're here to take over, if I could borrow that phrase from Conor McGregor, the poet. Miami looks at themselves as the best team in the country, that they can go win a national championship, but they're taking it one game at a time. But I love the fact that this team has had a playoff mindset for the past month. That's not something that they're adopting right now. We'll answer more of you guys' questions when we come back. Somebody asked me if we trust Mario Cristobal in key moments and key spots in this game. Somebody else asks, what happens now that Michigan fired Sharon Moore in disgrace with cause. So what's going to happen with Michigan's players? You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, the holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. Because it's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories. Because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You could preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when they plug it in, the memories are already in there, guys. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Folks, your spouse is going to love this. Your parents, grandparents, any newlyweds in your life, anyone who loves photos is going to love this. It's a gift from the heart. Endless uploads of pictures and 30-second videos through the Aura app. We love this, guys. And a personalized message right inside the frame so the gift feels thoughtful the moment it's opened. It's the holiday gift that actually gets used, not forgotten in some drawer. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code COLLEGE. The deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning Locked On Canes at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen. For your next listen, make sure you check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs and I take you around the conference. We talked a lot about the ACC's dispute with Notre Dame. Well, it's really Notre Dame's dispute with the ACC. They're angry at the ACC, not so much vice versa. But Locked On ACC is available free wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. This is a good question. Andy wants to know, how do they pick the referee crew for the playoffs? Andy, I'm guessing you're concerned that we're going to take ACC refs with us because Miami is the road team. Now, normally, you'd want to have the crew from your own conference when you're playing a non-conference game. When you're in the ACC, you want to keep those ACC refs as far away as possible. Now, here's the good news, Andy. I researched this, and the way the college football playoff does it is the crew for every game is not affiliated to either team in the game. So it's not going to be an SEC crew or an ACC crew. It's going to be either a Big 10 or a Big 12 crew. So they neither team is going to have the perceived home referees. It's going to be a crew from neither the ACC or the SEC. So if you were worried about that, worry not. I obviously any referee crew can botch a game, but nobody botches games like the ACC. So make sure you keep those ACC crews far, far away, and that appears to be the case. We get a question: do you know what section of the stadium Texas A&M gave to Miami? I saw Miami fans that I was able to track down who got tickets are kind of all over the place, some in the 400s. So normally the main visitor section at Kyle Field is section 131, but I don't necessarily know if that's where all the Miami fans got tickets for. But if it is section 131, that's going to be behind the south end zone, and it's near the visiting team bench. I will not be at the game, by the way, full disclosure. So if you are at the game, let me know. Or are the A&M folks, are they nice to you? All that stuff. Beach Dave asks, do we trust Mario Cristobal to get our first playoff win, or do we see the game day decision blunders versus a pound-for-pound opponent? Okay. I know. Like Mario's never going to escape that stuff. I get it. He's got that reputation. I don't. If Miami has an opportunity to kill off this game by taking a knee, I guarantee you they will do that. They will take a knee. Don't worry about it. In terms of so the issues that a lot of people had with coaching this year were in that middle stretch of the season when they thought Miami's offense was way too conservative, right? Whether you blamed Dawson or Mario for that. I take a lot of encouragement from the fact that they were not conservative to end the year. And I think you saw that pay off. And so I would like to think that that's now the identity they have adopted and discovered, that they are going to play for the kill. So I think as long as they are able to carry over that same mentality from November into December, I feel really good that, coaching is not going to cost anybody this game, right? And I also think Mario made some good in-game coaching moves this year. You notice nobody talks about those. They only talk about, hey, I didn't like that timeout. They don't talk. I thought that they called a great timeout at the end of the first quarter of the Pitt game for a punt to go with the wind, because if they had waited till the second quarter, the punt would have been against the wind. Like, there are little things that people don't always notice. But the big thing for me is don't get too conservative. If you have a lead on offense, don't take your foot off the gas, because Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, Marcel Reed, if he's on, they're good enough to exploit you, okay? They're good enough to do that. Oh, man. All right, let's see. By the way, another X factor for this game that I wanted to get into here. People were asking me about Keionte Scott, if he's going to be healthy. If Keionte Scott is healthy, who's Miami's top defensive back, that's going to be huge for Miami. But then there's one on the A&M side as well. Their top running back, Le'Veon Moss, they expect him to be back for this game, which is not good news for us if true. But he missed the final 5 games of the regular season with an ankle injury. Le'Veon Moss is their best back, an NFL caliber guy. If he is back for this game, we'll have to see if he's in full health. Same thing with Keionte Scott. If Keionte Scott is back from Miami, we'll see if he's in full health. And, I mentioned, of course, the importance of, Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. Also for Miami offensively, the importance of CeCe Mauinoa and Markel Bell, because they're both going to get opportunities to go up against Cassius Howell, the top edge rusher for Texas A&M. He lines up on both sides of the defensive line. So Cassius Howell, who's got 11.5 sacks this year, is going to be a challenge. Miami's got one of the best offensive lines in the country. So we'll see who gets more of those matchups. But between Bell and Mauinoa, that's going to be a really, really important matchup for the Canes. We get this question, who can we poach from Michigan besides the blonde? If we'll keep it to football, because I'm not interested in acquiring any of the staffers from Michigan. But if we keep it straight to football, this is not necessarily a Miami thing, because I don't think necessarily he would end up here, but maybe they would get in for him. But Bryce Underwood, I think there's a good shot that Bryce Underwood is going to leave Michigan. now, and it was reported yesterday that the star quarterback of the Wolverines, that there's no buyout for his NIL deal. So like if he leaves Michigan, he's not going to have to pay Michigan 6-7 figures to buy himself out, that he can basically waltz wherever he wants to go if he decides to leave. So Bryce Underwood is going to be a guy to watch, no doubt. Gilbert asks, hey, do you think we'll see Marquise Lightfoot getting more snaps given Marcel Reed's dual threat ability? With Lightfoot being a fast guy in pursuit, I think you could see it. I mean, obviously, I think in a game like this, you give Bain and Mesidor as many reps as possible without completely burning them out. So, yeah, Lightfoot is going to get on the field. Armando Blunt is going to get on the field. Miami's going to mix some guys in for sure. When it comes to Marcel Reed and his running ability, big responsibility for Miami's linebackers and for Jacoby Thomas at safety as well. Jacoby Thomas, Wesley Bissaint, Mohamed Toure are going to try to keep him from running the football and really hurting you with his legs, because Reed can do that if you give him the opportunity. He can. John from Pennsylvania wants to know, hey, top running back class of 2027, Kimon Spell, has announced his final 5 schools, and Miami is on the list. Is there much traction for him joining the Canes? There's not. It's always good to be in the top 5, and he did visit Miami, but most of the buzz is on Georgia right now for Spell. There was actually a lot of Notre Dame buzz for a while, and then the buzz shifted to Georgia. I don't know, maybe the buzz will shift to Miami, but there's not a whole lot of buzz at this moment, to answer your question. Oh, man, we appreciate you guys so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. And, man, we're going to do some weekend content for sure. It's weird that, like, Army-Navy, is that the only game we have on Saturday? Like, I'm so used to my loaded college football Saturdays. It's weird. But we're going to do some content over the weekend. Make sure you guys check out the new Everydayer Club all-access tier. I do an exclusive show every morning on there right when I wake up and I'm drinking my coffee. I call it the Canes Colada, where we talk about, what my thoughts for the day and what I'm going to be talking about on the main episode, and some extra thoughts that I share there that I don't necessarily share here. So check out the all-access tier of the Everydayer Club. You want to find the show description below for more details on that. We'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes. We are part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.